What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I got a very short video. I'm going to talk about how to fire people. So, just as a disclaimer, obviously if you're watching this from another country or another state, obviously these are just some tips. So always follow, your laws, guidelines. Depending on your state, firing, hiring, especially if you work for a corporation, it can get a little tricky. There's things that you can't say. There's things that you can't say while you're whether hiring or firing. Those are things also I had to learn as I kind of grew into my entrepreneurship journey. So, yeah, I just wanted to give you guys some tips on how it is that I fire people now after learning so much. And I know it's kind of a touchy subject, it's not pretty. Firing is never pretty. The first time I had to fire somebody was about 8 years ago, and I had no idea how to do it. I was very nervous. I was probably more nervous than the person that I just fired. Just how I was very nervous when I had my first interview. I interviewed a potential employee, and I was super nervous myself. Probably way more nervous than they were. And same thing when I had to hire somebody. And little by little, just like anything else, the more you do it, the more you learn. But I just had no idea that it was going to be hard, because you always think, if you're in the kind of like the position where you make the decision, you're not going to be nervous. But it's not like that. You're still nervous. So, tip number one. Well, before I get into the tips, I just want to say this. If you are hiring, and this is mostly for small business owners, and because that's what I am and that's the experience that I have. So if you're hiring somebody, you should be the person firing them. Don't ever have somebody. There's people that they don't want to do the dirty work. They only want to hire and do all the pretty work, and they don't want to fire people. Don't be that person. If you hire somebody, make sure you are the person that's firing that person too. And if, for example, you hired that person, but that person didn't work side by side with you, or there was somebody else, or they worked for a department that somebody else was overseeing, you okay, you could have that person with you in the room when you're firing this person, but just make sure if you hire, you fire. Okay, so tip number one. Make sure you're gentle, okay? Firing it's a very touchy, thing to do. Touchy, I don't know. I don't even know what that means. It's a very tricky, and you're dealing with people, you're not dealing with this is not machines, these are not robots. Like, these are people. So make sure you are gentle. Now, number two, make sure you're firm. And I know it's gonna seem like I'm contradicting myself, but there's a way to be firm and gentle at the same time. Make sure that they know that you understand them, and that you're relatable to them. Because I mean, I'm sure that if you are in a position where you could fire somebody, you were also probably in a position where you got fired, or you were an employee before, so you know how it may feel to get fired. And if you've never been fired, just imagine, how it can feel. It's a pretty rough day when you get fired. Number three, I would say, I used to think that you can just give feedback. I'm the type of person that I love to give feedback. But there's some people, when you're firing them, they just don't want the feedback. So now I kind of ask people, like, is it okay if I give you feedback? Like, would you like to have some feedback on what you can improve on, and so on? And most people will say, yeah, absolutely. Like, I want to know what I could do better for next time or for my next job, because my goal as an employer is not for you to work for me and make me money and be stuck with me forever. My job as an employee is, I actually want you to have a good life, and if my business, and the position that I'm giving somebody fits into the life that you want, then that's amazing. But and also improving my employees, giving them more value. a dream is for somebody to come work for me, learn, and then go on and get a better job and go on and keep, getting better jobs. If I can't offer them the growth, I want them to have the growth and learn something from me or the job that I provided for them. So the goal is never for them to be stuck. The goal is always, in my opinion, is for them to grow as well. So I want them to do better at their next job. Like I consider a lot of my employees, you know, good friends to this day. Even the ones that I fired, and some of you guys probably watching this video. So if you are, and I fired you, comment, because I know I keep pretty much a good relationship with everybody that I have. Obviously, there's some there's some people that I don't, but that's it's gonna happen. But yeah, so gentle, be firm, offer feedback if they want the feedback. Number 4, last one. I mean, I guess this is really the first one I should have said, but don't ever drag it on. If you gotta fire fast. That saying, hire slow, fire fast. I like that a lot. Don't ever drag it on. Don't drag it on for a period of time. Giving people more chances, too many chances. Or especially if they're not doing anything. Putting an effort to better themselves and better. Really just themselves, not really just for the company, but for themselves, because it's always going to be better for the company if they better themselves. So if they're not making an effort, and you can see that, and you already know it's not going to work out, then, and make sure you give the proper warnings, and, just understand that you're talking to people, we're not robots, so you can't just be like, you know what, you're fired. Or, you know what, you suck, you're fired. Even though you're in a position where you can fire, make sure you understand that we're still dealing with people. My last video was, business equals people. And I believe that. And a lot of things that I've seen is that, there's people that I fired that they go on to do something else. And then since we're still actually in a very good relationship, we're still able to, I use their services, they use my services, and I keep growing my network even from people that I fired. I have a lot of good friends actually that I fired that I still stay in touch. So yeah, that's the whole video. Actually, I guess it wasn't that short, but hopefully you got some value out of it. Firing is never pretty. It's mostly always ugly. I've had to fire family members, best friends, really close people to me, and I had to do it. It was tough, but it does get easier. And like I said, make sure that you understand that you're talking to people. Talk to people how you want to be talked to. Have some empathy, and yeah, the goal when you're firing somebody should be gentle, firm, straight to the point. Give some feedback, and end it as amicable as possible, so you can have a good relationship still there with this person, because it's very important. So that's it. Hope you got some value, and thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys on the next one.